Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul Season 4, Episode 6. It's called Piñata. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Saul is literally dangling us back and forth.
Yeah.
He even the
Yeah,
start of
pretty
this
much.
episode with Kim, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to see the therapist." I'm like, "You just said at the end of the last one, you're going to do it." And Kim's like, "Oh, I thought you said you were going to." And I'm like, "Yes, Kim, he did. Yes, let's get this out of him." Um, Not that this feels like his character, though. It feels very, very in character for
Yes.
Saul to do this. But
It
you
is.
know, I'll just it's the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um,
S- Also, we got
mhm.
a different time period in the opening.
Again, yeah, this is two in a row where we've had a flash to a different time, and this one is when they were both working in the mailroom at HHM, and we even get to see Chuck alive and well and looking very healthy as
Oh,
well.
there was a moment where he was just on the other side of the room. I
Hmm.
was like, I'm pretty sure that is him, but maybe that's they couldn't. He was busy. He could go. It's just someone stood over there, and like, no, he walks over.
Now he comes over, and this scene is basically the motivation for Saul to actually become a lawyer, because he's working in the mailroom, but that's just like, he's probably got him a job, right? A job that he can do, no matter what. He's in the mailroom, and we see that he's doing like an Oscar pool, and they're all making their
Yeah. So
guesses.
it's early '90s, right?
Is it that early? What was the movie they said?
Yeah. I can't remember
Howard's
now.
End. Howard's End. I think that was it.
Yeah, it's early '90s, right?
I can't remember. Do you know what? I'm going to check right now. Let's find out what year this is meant to be.
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't really help us date anything, but
Well, apparently there was one in
just yeah,
2017 with Haley Atwell, so it's not that one. Yeah,
definitely
1992.
not that one.
92 is what we're on.
So this is probably early '93 that this is taking place.
Yeah, early 93, which is fine. I will say on this one, though, this is the first time I've really had an issue with the age of the actors and when this is supposed to be, because
Yeah.
they look the exact same, of course, and I don't necessarily want them to get different actors to play it, because that would just also ruin it in a completely different way.
I mean, it's only a decade, right?
It's true, it is true, it's only a decade. Um, they both look so middle aged though, and that's not an insult. They're just middle aged. Uh,
Yeah,
whereas Kim
true.
says she's in school right now, and I'm like, you look a bit older than that.
Yeah.
So, it's not a big deal, but it's something you just kind of have to let it away with, because it's either that or we have different actors. I think there was one scene in like season 1 where we saw Saul being arrested and Chuck came to get him, and
Yeah.
this was meant to be like even before this. So again, it was like he looks too old, but.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely that one did.
But yeah, so and we see that they're already becoming friends. He may have feelings for her, but the whole thing is that he feels kind of left out, and he sees Chuck kind of almost look proud of her at one point, because she understands what he's talking about. She's asking questions about the case that he's just won, and she's offering opinions and even saying, "Hey, wouldn't this have been another idea?" And he's like, "No, we did try that, but here's why we didn't."
And then he kind of quizzes her. It's like, and that's from,
Yeah,
and she's on the ball.
but there's a sense of pride, a sense of pride that Chuck perhaps never directed towards him. And it's right after this, you get that shot. Almost unnatural how clean this room is, this hallway, where there's just one door that says library. It felt almost surreal that there was nothing there. It was just
Yeah.
so blank, but that's kind of the point. And he turns back and goes out the library to start studying, essentially.
I I appreciate that Kim picked up on it as well. That like when he says something to him,
Mm,
and you can just feel the disdain coming off of it.
yeah. So I mean, it makes their relationship and how she understands him go all the way back to this. It also, as someone is given that we every year guess who's going to win the Oscars, it's actually kind of nice that hey, that's relatable. We do that.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's fun. It was the moment when the one woman said, "Oh, I'm struggling with the short documentary category." He's like, "Oh, go with your gut."
Yeah, I'm like every time.
Yeah, no one has an opinion on these unless you're into the short documentary, like
Yeah, but no
scene.
one is.
There's a few people.
Yeah, like three.
Cue the Arrested Development gif. There are dozens of us. Dozens.
Yeah, yeah. If
Anyway,
we could be bothered and we're allowed, we'd probably have just put that in as an insert there.
yes, yes, yes. I don't want the copyright nightmare, so we're not doing it. But so yeah, so that's the episode again where Saul is kind of reverting back, and I think what's interesting to me is that what ultimately makes him go into the deep end, where he goes and spends all of his will money, his Chuck Will money on phones, and he you know, at the end of the episode, he's going to make a deal with the kids that mugged him and try to scale them out of doing it. And we'll talk about that specifically. I think it's interesting that he goes off this deep end because Kim cuts off the dream. Because early on, she notices she's up late at night and she's tempted to look at the other case files, and she's like, no, I need to work on this Mesa Verde crap, even though she's clearly not as interested in it as she used to be. And she comes to bed and she sees Jimmy's been doing the Wexler Miguel logos, and he's got all these plans. And she's kind of, she smells it first, and it's kind of sweet. He's looking at all these different names, but you know, again, he's doing the logo, the same logo that she split in half last season when she made the call. Nah, we shouldn't really be together that way, but we can share an office, and you know, she kind of, yeah. But he's kind of back onto this stream, and it's kind of like he's so single-minded. This is the goal. This is essentially the carrot at the end of the rainbow, basically. But, you know, he's on this path of a year of not being able to do anything.
Talk about mixing metaphors.
I know. But he's determined to get there, and the one thing that's like sort of keeping him on the right path, that made him want to go see a therapist, that did all these things, is his relationship with Kim and the hope that he can be his own thing with Kim at the end of that time. So Kim going and setting up this new thing with the other law firm where she's going to be the head of their banking law,
which is inspired by what she sees in Jimmy's things, because he has it down as a banking lawyer there. And it's like, so she's like, okay, I'm going to dive head on into it.
Yeah, and she goes back to, I can't remember his name, but the lawyer we seen last season.
I want to say Richard.
You may be right, but he tries to, he tried to hire her last season. He's very nice with her. He even asks about Saul and says, "Hey, how's Jimmy? Give him my best." After his brother's death and so on. Very friendly, and she's there because obviously later on she kind of sells it to Jimmy that he had the idea and that she was like suggested this by him. But she came up with this. This was her idea, that she could get a job there but still feel like she was in charge, that she was getting, she felt worthwhile, like she was an important member of the team and not just another employee and so on. She still gets to have ownership of the Mesa Verde thing, but now it's not all on her shoulders. Now she's got delegates, and as he even says, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can do your case law and everything as well.
Yeah, she has minions to throw on Mesa Verde. She can do some stuff at the new place, and she can do her criminal stuff. Which
is funny, because when you compare it to Saul, it's almost like if Saul found a way to be with Kim, do things properly, but still found a way to be sketchy. It's just for her being sketchy still something, legal and proper.
Yes.
Right? But that's kind of like she's living the dream, and I love that scene when she tells him, and she knows it's hurting his feelings, and she's trying to like sugarcoat it as much as possible, and he has to go off and stand, and I loved it when he stands, and he's almost having a panic attack when he's having to like calm down next to the kitchen. Behind him on the wall there's a fork, and it says fork. It's not in English, but it says fork, and I'm like, yeah, it's a fork in the road. That's what this moment is. It's a bit blatant, but I like it. I'll take it. It's cool.
Yeah. I love the sound design here, with the sort of the chopping, whatever it was they were chopping, just the way it got louder and sped up and more intense as it went on, and it just became all encompassing. It was fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it's so good, and he just goes off the deep end, and he goes to see Hamlin. He's collecting his check, and Hamlin, he's been nice enough, but he's still clearly very mopey, and Saul kind of pries and says, "Oh, what's up? What's going on?" Is it, the firm's in a bit of a bad place, our reputation's not that great, we've had some setbacks, we're laying people off.
They're right sizing.
Yes, that's how he phrased it. And Saul basically chastises him and kind of opens up. And obviously the key phrase that really stuck out, I'm sure to everyone, is he says, "You're a crap lawyer, Hamlin, but you're a good salesman, so go out there and sell." And I'm like, projecting much, Jimmy?
I know, that's you. I think you're wrong. The key thing is when he points out the glorious head of hair, and he's right.
What, Hamlin's got glorious hair? Is that what you're telling me?
It's very different, isn't it? It stands out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, maybe not this past couple of episodes because he's been letting it down.
No,
and he's...
obviously not when he's looking like shit. But usually.
Sure, yeah, he's usually got a good head of hair on him. That's very true. But no, and Hamlin gets angry back at him and says "F you," which I think is notable in this show because they don't drop F-bombs too often. So when they do, it hits a little bit harder. It makes sense. It was the same in Breaking Bad. But no, the scene's very good. Obviously, it's well acted from both parties, but for Saul, this was like, no, don't be pitiful. Don't. It's like obviously he's taking out his frustration with what's just happened with Kim, and obviously he went in, he said the right things, like, no, you should do it. It's a great opportunity. Maybe things will be different in 10 months, but I shouldn't hold you back. Don't wait for me. He says all the right things. He knows he's saying the right things, and I think he does genuinely mean it. It's not like I don't think he's holding a grudge. I don't think he's like just saying it for faking it sake. I think he wants to believe he's saying it, or he wants to believe what he's saying. I guess that's the way I should phrase that.
Yeah, I think he does mean it because
he doesn't like it.
He's always
but
been
he means it.
He's always been genuine with Kim. He doesn't like it, but he's still doing it anyway, right?
Yeah, but he's hurt, and I think telling Hamlin to stop, being so pitiful and have a plan and go out and do things. He's basically kind of obviously projecting still. He's talking about himself, but I think this idea that he sees like him being what he might have been. It's just like before when the therapist scene from last week, or not, you know what I mean, the bathroom scene where he talked about therapy.
Yeah.
And he's worried about being like him, and he's seeing, oh, this is what I could be, or maybe what I've been like in my own way. Just it's not the exact same. I'm not looking that mopey, but I'm going out and I'm getting beat up by grunts when I'm trying to do my thing, and things aren't working, and Kim's made this choice. So he's really fighting back in this scene, and I think it is all just from the frustration. It's all everything pent up, and he's basically giving himself a pep talk more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then he goes out. Of course, he tries to talk to the thugs, and because we obviously orders all these phones, right? $5,000 worth of phones from the will, and he goes back to the salon
nail
salon, to hide them in his old office. And
which he's still paying rent on, which I did not realize.
Yeah, how's he been affording this? He's been tight up for money for the last little while.
Not really. He's been, because he was tight in the sense when they had to pay the big office, but once they stopped paying that, he's always seemed pretty comfortable. He's got a job as well now, and
true.
I guess he just had enough in the bank.
True, but I mean, they got a nice enough house. They're living together, but. How many people could afford rent on a separate? I mean, I don't know how much rent in this little office is.
This one little room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Especially at a little room that's at the back of a nail salon, which is a really weird looking.
Probably not as much as we're thinking.
Is he renting from her, or is this like a free agent sort of thing where it's also just for rent?
I think he's renting from her.
Okay. All right.
Because she's the one that comes in and is like, no, not having these here.
That's true. So, but he goes to see the thugs, and he tries to make a proposition like, "Hey, I'll pay you $100 every time I'm out here selling. Just you don't interfere with me, and you're making money for nothing. And like, well, why wouldn't we just take everything from you?" He's like, "Well, because then I'd stop doing it, and you wouldn't make anything next time." And he's got very sound logic. This is basic, economics here.
It is, yeah.
But these idiots are too stupid for that, so they chase him. And I actually just immediately assumed, I'm like, this is a plan.
Yeah. It's like he's going somewhere. I'm like, don't know who's at the end of it. But
yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
I know Saul's not that stupid, right? He's smarter than this. And sure, Mo was obviously one of the guys there, but it's the two gunmen, and they get taken. And because you actually hear him on a phone at one point earlier on talking about a location. He's like, "Oh, so I can use that location. It's private." Yeah, and Piñata, as you say, and I'm like. And it kind of went away after that. I was like, Piñata? And obviously the name of the episode is Piñata, but I was like, what was the Piñata about? And obviously you could say that, Saul, the metaphors that Saul's been beat up enough that he's not finally exploding or whatever.
He's cracked open, his true self's come out.
There you go. But here we get to it. This was the place he was talking about. He's got them hung upside down with all these piñatas, and they're hitting all the piñatas and they're getting to him. And he basically, all he really says is, you won't mess with me. And, we won't, I mean, it doesn't quite outright say they're going to kill him or whatever. He implies pain, slow or fast. And he's like, no, please, we won't mess with you. You'll never see us again. And you'll also go around and tell everyone that I'm not to be touched, that I'm the big dog, blah, blah. Like, yeah, sure. I'll tell everyone you're untouchable, right? And that's the end of the episode. That's the moment we close out on, is that Saul makes this power play and walks out. And it's funny because I think last week you were debating if there was going to be a moment. The moment where he kind of goes down the path. And I think I'd argue this was kind of it.
See, this is what I was getting at last week. We think this is the moment now. But in 2 or 3 episodes, will it be? or will he kind of come to his senses and pull back a little bit, and we'll be like, maybe not.
And like I say, at one time it's going to stick. May not be till the end of the show, but at one point it's going to stick.
But sure. But if we say it every episode, it gets boring.
Oh, this was the moment. I'll stick to it. I'll stick to it. Okay. And obviously, Kim's side of this was, of course, very good as well. Like her decision made a lot of sense. And it's the sort of thing where you feel a little bad when she's making this pitch, and you get what she's saying to the lawyer, and you get where she's going with it. And you feel a little bit bad because you know this is going to hurt Saul, but it's the right thing for her to do. It's this stability that he can't quite offer in terms of her job, and it makes sense. She was always meant for greater, bigger things.
Oh yeah, it was. I love the moment that called back to the opening flashback. You know, when she sat doing the voice recording for the paralegal, going, "Hey, here's all these things you need to do," and it gets to one thing. She says, "Oh yeah, there's this law. Check out the on this legal precedent. Just find the case that it is." And then she stops and she's like, "God damn it, I would have known this," because we'd seen Chuck quiz her on what was the case for that, and she just knew it instantly. And so she's there. It's like, no, I'm going to think about this. I know what it is, and just that is like proving to herself that she can still do it. The challenge of what she cares about.
Yeah, it's kind of like how for Saul, it's selling. It's convincing people to do things. That was the thing he loved about conning people. It's what he loves most about being a lawyer. And whenever he's been taken away from that, he's missed it and it's felt boring. Kim's kind of the same way. Going just into the banking stuff like she has been with Mesa Verde has kind of taken away everything she actually likes about the job. She's not, arguing for people. She's not, doing good things for people. And she's not hungry and thirsty to keep up her case law, because when she's constantly doing new cases, she's having to be aware of all the previous, all the examples and whatnot to argue things in court and whatever else. Whereas with Mesa Verde, she's just kind of it's just banking. You're doing regulations and you're convincing people to
it's mostly paperwork,
permits and regulations and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's paperwork. And while everything she's talking about sounds boring as shit to me, to her, that's all the exciting stuff, and then she wants back to that.
Yes, exactly.
That fulfills her.
It does.
Then you could argue that Saul, to an extent, is trying to convince himself that certain things don't fulfill him, but he keeps coming back to them. He keeps getting drawn back.
He does. He can't help himself, can he? Poor bastard.
And I suppose you could maybe even make an argument that with Chuck gone, that sole motivation he originally had to try and go down this path of being a lawyer and being better is kind of gone.
Yeah, it was for that approval, and now, I mean, even before it was, okay, he didn't need that approval after a while because he realized it was never going to happen, right? In the last couple of years, or last couple of seasons, even.
And
years for him. You
could almost argue it kind of shifted to Kim, and it was about, I don't want to be seen as weaker or lesser in her eyes. I want to uphold the proper image of myself for her. And it's a shame because he should still feel that way, but now he's just doing things that she doesn't know about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So which actually might be why this is kind of the moment, if I'm going to argue that, is that this is maybe the first time in a long time where he's actively doing something despite the fact that he's pretending it's not the case. And obviously he did a couple of things last week, but this is where he's really going down this deep end now, behind Kim's back.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I can see the season ending at this point with her kind of discovering what's been going on, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But the moment he's not trying to do things for her and he's just trying to do them to make himself feel better, maybe that's where he starts going off rails. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. Because sadly, I think Saul's never been about self-respect. It's always been about the respect of someone else.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Chuck, then now Kim.
Yeah. And yeah, so we'll see. But obviously we had some other plots here to talk about. We had Mike, and we had the secret hideout where all the workers who are coming to excavate the basement of the laundry place. And do you know what's funny? They could have never went down this path. I could have just assumed, well, they don't need to keep all the people secret. They can just they'll be staying in a hotel somewhere or whatever. But no, this is how secretive Gus is being. Is all the workers are going to stay in these two made-up houses they've got inside this big building, and he's showing Mike around, and Mike's like, "Oh, you're going to have to get a list of these things," and he's like, "What?" It's like, "Well, they're going to be here probably 10 months. They're going to be working 10 long hours every day, hard labour, and then they're coming back here. It can't just feel like a prison. It has to, have relaxation." So he's like, "No, get a bar, have it on tap, get a basketball hoop, get the football court out, get the projector, DVD player, make sure there's all entertainment, so on."
He's definitely regretting the bar.
get the weights and stuff, so they've got plenty of comforts.
The treadmill, the industrial treadmill.
Yeah, they'll tear through the consumer crap in a day or whatever it was he said. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
And Gus obviously respects his opinion and understands why he's saying that. He's like, "Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's not cause problem." But they've also got surveillance on them around the clock, all that. And obviously he's keeping an eye on this one guy named Kai. Kai, who bit of a dick.
Understatement. Absolute knobhead.
Doesn't listen to Mike or even his boss until at the 5th or 6th time he finally says, "Hey, Kai, get over here."
He's too busy going for the beer.
He's a bit of a dick. He asks some stupid questions. So Mike is clearly like, I love Mike's annoyed face during this scene because I'm like, yeah, I'm annoyed. Me and you, Mike, we're right with
it's when he's treating it as jokes, like, "Oh, where's the girls?" And Mike's like, "You're bringing the girls in here, and ooh, shit's gonna get down."
"Oh, I'm gonna go Mike on you. That's what's going to happen."
Yeah.
So he goes out and he tells the guy, "Hey, watch this one." So I can definitely see there being drama from Kai and them keeping these guys in here. Do you know what? I never thought the story of how we built this lab was going to be so interesting, but so far it's actually been quite fascinating.
Yeah, I'm expecting a time jump after this season so that it's built over the gap, like, because we'll get some of it, sure, like this time, but
hey,
10 months, like it says.
Interesting that it's 10 months for this, and there's also 10 months left in Saul's year off from law.
Yeah, it's convenient, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like we can jump ahead, and they'll both be just at a nice spot for us to jump back into.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
It's almost like they planned these shows. So we have this. It's an interesting little side plot. Mike also has a scene where he goes and tries to apologize to his daughter-in-law for the outburst in the therapy session. And it's just kind of a scene on its own for the most part, where Mike tries to apologize, but he's like, "I still believe what I said, but time and place."
Yeah, I think the key thing for me out of this scene is that he's trying to get more involved in with Kaylee again. So I'll pick her up from school tomorrow, and I feel like this is going to go downhill pretty quickly when something goes wrong with the Germans, and he has to cancel on whatever he had planned with Kaylee.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing. I think for me, it's the idea that he also says in this scene that he's not going back to therapy, so it's not for him. And I think it's
funny that Jimmy said the exact same thing.
It's kind of funny to me. As different as they are in terms of characters, I mean, you could almost argue this show, if nothing else, it's about people trying to be better and kind of failing and just reverting to who they actually are. And Mike. And obviously Mike was better than Jimmy was, but he was still a cop. I mean, when the advice he gave his son about taking the money,
just be corrupt.
Yeah. Like, he was clearly not he was a good cop in terms of his skill. Like, he knew what he was doing. He was very smart and he played things, but he wasn't a good person.
He was not above bribery.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that even Mike and Saul's storylines are kind of paralleling in that sense, and they're both kind of getting into the deep end. So that's very good. So enjoyed that stuff. Gus also had a scene where he went to see Hector, where I was convinced the hand was going to move at the end of this scene.
It lingered so long. I'm like, it's going to move, right? It's moving, and then it just doesn't.
Subverting your expectations.
Absolutely blue balling us.
Better than Ryan Johnson does it, though.
He does no such thing.
Yeah. Which is funny, because he actually directed some episodes of Breaking Bad. But, So yeah, Gus. Do you know what? I could listen to Gus. Like, if he wants to just have an episode where we sit down and listen to him tell stories about growing a tree, I will happily watch that episode.
Story time with Gus. That's the next show.
Because it was just a little soothing. I mean, it got a little bit dark at the end because he was implying that, hey, you're the... What was the animal that was attacking his tree?
Can't remember.
I don't know. It wasn't one I recognised.
No, me either.
But he But he's obviously the comparison, the metaphor here was that, you know, he'd built his business just like the tree, and it was starting to flourish and it was going well. And then, you know, Hector being the animal who came and tried to ruin it, and he hid away just like he is now in the coma. But he eventually came out, and you'll come out, despite the fact that the doctors think you might die, or might never wake up.
I'll kill you.
Yeah. So no, the metaphor was clear, but it was such a well acted scene.
Was.
It's a testament to your direction in acting when you can have a scene where a character just sits and tells a story for a good solid like 4 or 5 minutes, and it never once felt.
I'd say 3-4 minutes.
Yeah. So very good, very very good. So I mean, I don't think we have to analyze it too much. I mean, it's quite clear what he's saying in the scene.
It's not subtle, is it? But it's not intended to be. It's very clear that he's like, if you're hearing this, I want you to get this message.
Yeah. I think I always liked in Breaking Bad how Gus's like backstory always seemed to mirror Walter's. Like it was always like, because we got glimpses of how he sort of came up through the system and became the Gus that we knew, and the way he talked about this tree and feeling proud of this tree, and it was the sweetest thing he'd ever tasted, the fruit off of it. You know, it reminded me of Walter in a lot of ways. The way Walter was his pride about building what he did, and how he became egotistical about it. And Gus is very much the same way. And they're not the exact same, because there was always some parallels. I remember one of the flashbacks with Gus, we see him throw up after something violent happens. The same thing happened with Walter at some point later on. We see him throw up. And it was very similar the way it was shot. It was very intentionally. No, he's at this stage that Gus was at in this flashback.
Yes, but Gus reached a level of professionalism that Walt never did.
No, that's true. That's true. Walter went too quick. He shot for the moon very fast. And
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, he was dying, I suppose, so why waste time?
Don't have too much choice, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And Gatorade him, bitch. So, yeah. I think that's the most we've talked about Breaking Bad on one of these in a while.
It is. I feel like, to its credit, even though, we're talking about, the lab and, that quite extensively here, but I feel like the show does such a good job of being its own entity that I don't feel the need to talk about Breaking Bad. I know people want to compare it. They want to talk about how all these things are referenced and lead in. But to me, that's not as interesting as just what the show's doing in its own right.
Yeah, well, I think with the lab specifically, because obviously that is building to something that's in Breaking Bad, I think they just make a good job of making it entertaining and thrilling as to, just on its own, the plot of building this lab is just interesting. Like, let's say we never had Breaking Bad, right? This was just an original story.
You'd be going, oh, what's this for, right?
Yeah.
But the core content would still be the same.
Yeah. It's just, instead of that, we're thinking, okay, we know what this is for, but how did he achieve this? And, like, what were the complications? And I'm sure there will be.
There'll be difference if we're going, oh, does this get done? And what's he going to use it for? We'd be asking these questions. But the direction, the scenes themselves of just Mike interviewing these guys and planning this room in this week, that would all be the exact same.
And if I'm going to make a prediction about this plot, I feel like Kai's going to do something bad. They're going to have to deal with it, and then because of that, they're going to have to kill all of them because they're all going to be witnesses to whatever happens.
Yep, pretty much. The question is whether or not they get it finished first, or they have to bring in someone else to finish the job.
They're all going to. I mean, part of me thinks that Gus may want to just kill them all at the end anyway, but But I think that's like part of the effect of seeing Mike and the main guy, the main architect, seeing them bonding. They have respect for each other. They shake each other's hands. He's I don't want to say friendly with each other, but they're definitely very formal.
As friendly as Mike can be.
Yeah, there's a respect that he understands and they understand each other. So that's just enough to like, okay, he feels like a human being. So when Mike has to shoot him in the face by the end of the season, or watch as he gets shot in the face at the end of the season, that'll have impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or next season, depending on how long we go through the building process.
Yeah, we'll worry about that when it happens.
Yeah.
But it will happen.
But yeah. So no Natural this episode, so we'll get back to him in a bit, I think. But this is that is it. That is episode 6. Piñata.
Good stuff.
No, very good stuff. Again, it's a very lax season in comparatively with the big emotional stuff, but it's planting a lot of seeds. There's a lot of growing going on.
It feels like next season's going to be a biggie.
Yes. So there we go. That is episode 6. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. I was going to say upsets there. Yes, channel upsets when we complain and are upset about things on the channel. Go to Twitter.
I could do that all day.
You can go to patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support us and everything we do here and keep the reviews coming. You can go do that. You can do that for as little as $1 per month and you can feel warm and fuzzy inside. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?